All right, what's up, y'all? So, what we're gonna be doing today is I'm making a script for Naruto's first chapter and first episode, and I kind of just want to get my thoughts out about it on this channel because on the other channel, I'm gonna be dropping a whole actual scripted video about it, but what I've started doing is before I write a script, I just sit down and just write in free thought. And I don't try to make it like a script or anything. I just write down exactly what I'm thinking. So there's this mode. I don't know if any of you have ever gotten into it, but when you're writing a paper or when you're writing something, a script or an essay or whatever, right? You get in that mode where you're just kind of going for a little bit, where it's just the words are just coming to you and you're just kind of putting it the fuck out there. You know what I mean? That's what this is. I just wanted to get my thoughts jotted down, and then I wanted to record it so I could listen to it back. So this is for me, but I decided I can use that as content. So somebody will actually want to watch it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read off what I wrote down at first, and then I might add some more commentary in there. And then you'll actually see the finished result once I upload it, and I'll let you guys know when that comes. So what I wrote down here is I was like, what exactly do I want to talk about regarding the first chapter of Naruto? And then I just went into it. It's important to get across exactly how the first chapter tells what the story of Naruto will be about. I also want to at least start to talk about how Kishi is really good at writing this chapter as if it's an episodic series first episode. It really helps not only the pacing of the first couple of chapters, but also serves to be effective in hooking us into this story. Sorry. Beyond the obvious plot synopsis, I think framing the third Hokage as utterly unconcerned with Naruto's antics and the way the adults come off almost whiny babies and the way that they're just always so concerned and tattletelling about Naruto helps set up the contrast between him, them, and how not everyone has the same perception of Naruto right off the bat, showing off so much of the characters' personalities just by natural progression of the story, and setting up that Naruto is an orphan organically, I think helps to show how good it feels. But in the grand scheme of things, beyond just setting up Naruto's character, what I think helps to set the stage for his antithesis at many different parts of the story. By getting to know who he is, it's easier to spot who is very different from him. Again, the strength in it though is by setting the progression up like a Saturday morning cartoon. It almost feels like the manga is just a storyboard for a show. It's kind of whiplash in a good way to see Naruto's ambition and respect for the Hokage is so strong, especially considering defacing their monument is the very first scene. I get that's the point here, but I think while a simple technique, it's very effective. Despite what we ourselves thought of Naruto from our first impression of him, he almost immediately is shown to be a more serious and deep character than one would gather. That underlying depth helps make it more believable that Iruka would see himself in Naruto and want to help him out while balancing being a responsible adult in his life and his teacher. Obviously, these two have a real relationship, and finding out that Naruto is more than just a troublemaker almost makes us root for Iruka for being the sole person willing to spend time with him, seemingly. The confliction comes in when Mizuki tells us, quote-unquote, the truth, and we think that Naruto himself really is the Nine Tails, and yet Iruka is willing to lay his life on the line for him. This is what I mean by the whole story of Naruto being summed up here. Naruto's path to becoming Hokage, to saving the village, the ninja world even, his path to saving Sasuke, all goes through that idea. Being faced with loss caused by another, being faced with the loss others had to endure, carrying the heavy heart you yourself have, and still looking that individual in the eyes and choosing to love and care for them and lay your own hopes and dreams, your entire being on the line for them, knowing the judgment that you know you have to face as those that person also wronged comes. So it's not just an internal battle, it's an external one as you suffer the persecution of judgment and misjudgment from others that you also care about, as you suffer potentially the rejection of the very one you love, and choosing regardless to lay it all down in service of protecting them, in service of choosing to forgive them and give them the space they need as an individual, because the circumstances that lead us each down the road we travel usually are determined and altered long before we enter the picture. Iruka knew that Naruto the child had nothing to do with the nine-tailed fox and its attack on the village, which we as the readers find out later is the result of things put in motion long before that day. The same way that Naruto knows that Sasuke and who he really is has nothing to do with the path he traveled, because the ninja world is a dark place. The entire cycle of war that the history of Shinobi is built on had nothing to do with any of them. They were all just pawns helping the cogs turn as someone else tried to write and guide their story. Their choice was taken away long before they knew they had one, and that's what Madara was trying to achieve. That's what Mizuki was trying to do all the way back in the first chapter as well, deceiving Naruto into thinking he had a choice, all while using him to serve his own ends, bringing Naruto's story to a close and bringing himself satisfaction. But Iruka introduced us to the desire to protect one's ability to choose by protecting Naruto. Had Iruka died but Mizuki had been stopped, he would have died and given Naruto the chance to keep on living and keep having days to decide what he wants to do. Meanwhile, he would have made his decision to die to protect that very outcome. He chose to love Naruto more than himself, even if his seen past in relation to Iruka's was shaky. And Naruto got to see firsthand what that was like from a guy who maybe not achieved the goal that is Naruto's ultimate, but is a success story no doubt how you see it. The worldview that Iruka expresses becomes Naruto's the entire rest of the way, and the journey is just about watching him live out that journey and refining what it means to choose such a path. So, I feel like I explained it very well. And I have this thing where it's like, when I write or when I'm talking, like podcast style like this, I have this thing where like, when I'm getting my thoughts out, half the time I feel like, especially once I'm getting towards the end, like once I'm trying to close, I have like almost like a slight anxious feeling about, have I made my point? Was my point good? Like, did I explain it in the way that I wanted to? And like, in closing, am I able to wrap it up well? Like, I'm very good at the middle part of writing. Introductions always take me a while to try to think of, and I always think that my introductions, like I try to follow a very like fundamental way of introducing, especially essays. I try to keep them as basic as possible because I'm just not that good at them, and I'm not that great at conclusions. At least I don't feel like I am. I've been told by my English teachers that I'm a great writer, but I've never felt like that comfortable about conclusions. They always give me anxiety when I'm writing. So like wrapping up my thoughts is kind of hard, but upon rereading it and upon re-listening half the time, I'm like, okay, I did a pretty good job. It's just like while I'm in it, it's like a thing, you know. So yeah, that I feel like I wrapped it up pretty well. I think that's the strongest point that I've seen with early Naruto, bro. Kishimoto is very good at like setting each chapter up, especially in the early, like before you get to the point where Tazuna comes in and you start the Land of Waves arc. Like those couple of chapters before that, like in volume 1, are very episodic. Like the first 5 or 6 chapters of Naruto are very episodic, and it's like in the best way possible, bro. Like Kishi is just very good at being able to pace a story in that kind of way. And the thing that because I rewatched Naruto about 2 years ago now, and upon the rewatch, I noticed some things, but then like playing the Storm stories, especially Storm 3, and then going back and now rereading it again and just thinking it over and talking about it and listening to other people talk about it. It's amazing how like Kishimoto's like when Kishimoto comes up with an arc, right? Like I always feel like, or when he comes up with a villain, when he comes up with a new problem for people to solve, I always feel like his, especially once you get to part 2, his motivation is like, where does Naruto go next? And not in the sense of like the character or the story, but like where does his learning journey go next? Like what is he about to learn now? What's the next step? Okay, he learned this and he learned that and his worldview is this so far, but like are there any complications with that? Like for example, right, like when Naruto beats Pain, and I know this is far off from like the first chapter, but it's all gonna make sense. When Naruto beats Pain, right, he becomes the hero of the village. He convinces Nagato to believe in him and all of this, right? The next part of Naruto's story is like, okay, but what about the people that like, because, okay, it's one thing for you to feel that way. It's one thing for you to forgive people. It's one thing for you to look in the eyes of the murderer of your father figure. It's one thing. Okay. On my software, it looked like it had stopped recording. Sorry. It's one thing for you to look in them in their eyes and forgive them and move forward and try to find a different way towards peace and towards handling things. But what about when other people are involved and they don't feel the way you feel? I feel like Naruto learned that lesson firsthand when he met up with the Raikage, because he asked for exactly what he had given Nagato for them to give Sasuke, and the answer was no. It was like, no, bro. Like, this guy came into my village. He's teamed up with the most dangerous terrorist organization on the planet, and you want me to just let him walk free? No, y'all should have handled that the moment he became a rogue ninja and he over there chilling with Orochimaru now. Like, we're not doing that, because I don't feel the way you feel. I'm not in no merciful mood. I'm trying to knock that nigga head off, dead ass. Because at the time he thinks B is dead. Like, you just killed my brother, bro. I spent my whole life having to protect this guy, bro. Like, he's my brother. This my little bro. I raised him, and you just took him from me, and I'm gonna make you pay for that. And it's like, nah, he not wrong for feeling that. And it's like, Naruto, what do you do in them situations where that's the type of stuff that's going on, where you have to deal with somebody else's choice being different from yours? That's how Kishi progresses the story. He's always looking like, what's Naruto's next thing? And you see that in like chapter 2, and I'm gonna talk about it when I get there to chapter 2 a little more. But it's like, you see it where it's like, okay, Naruto learned the lessons he learned in chapter 1, and then like he sees like Konohamaru is almost like the first, like, because I mentioned the antithesis of Naruto, right? And you're thinking about guys like Pain, you're thinking about guys like Sasuke, you're thinking about guys like Gaara, but it's like Konohamaru is almost like the first one of those that we get introduced to, where he is just like the complete opposite of Naruto, in the aspect that Naruto grew up shunned and isolated, and Konohamaru grew up with undeserved praise and adulation and spoiled brat, right? And like, he's the first antithesis to Naruto that we see in the story, and we have to see how Naruto handles that. And that's what I mean by like Kishi always introducing the idea of like, okay, how does Naruto handle this situation? How does he handle this situation? If he doesn't know how he's going to handle this situation, how does he learn about it? How do these characters teach him about it? And it's like, he uses that structure from the very first chapter, bro. It's there. That structure and that it's there from the beginning. He never alters off of that. And that's what makes Naruto such a tight and cohesive story, because I don't think it's that he had everything planned out from the beginning. You can, it's almost hard to tell how far in advance authors and these creators have their ideas unless they tell you. And even then, like, unless we had a whole TV show about it with like episodes upon episodes of what was the creative process for this, what was the creative process for that. Interviews aren't going to tell us enough for us to really dive deep into how far ahead these guys were thinking at the time that they were going about this creative process, right? But it's like the reason that Naruto is such a tight, cohesive story is because he uses that same structure from the beginning the entire way through. He keeps focus on what this story is about. He keeps focus on what this character is about. It is very abundant from chapter 1 what we're talking about. We're talking about a story of a guy who was a loser reject. He changes what everybody thinks his story is going to be about. He changes what everybody thinks his destiny is going to be. He changes everybody's perception of Naruto, including Naruto's own perception of himself, right? And Naruto has to deal with the fact that he believes in change. He believes in people's ability to decide to do better. He believes in love and peace and prosperity. He believes in the things that Iruka showed him, that we later found out that his parents were showing him. He believes in grace. He believes in warmth and love and all of these things. But everybody does not. Everybody does not. And sometimes he'll struggle with them, and he has to use his moments of being able to struggle with them to be able to relate to other people. Because other people use their moments of struggle to be able to relate to him sometimes. And him being himself is enough, but he has to learn who he is, how to be himself, how to be mature about the way he goes about and deciding to do these things. Because while his worldview is the right one, it needs some maturing, it needs some development, because it's just not as simple as just laying it blanket out there and having the most optimistic point of view about it, because there are real consequences that other people have to deal with, and there are real consequences that you have to deal with. It's introduced as early as the first chapter, dog. It's there from the very beginning. That structure that Kishimoto introduces, the structure of storytelling, the structure of plot progression, the story, the lesson that he wants Naruto to be imparted with, it's all there from the very beginning. And every single step of the way after that is just, okay, how does this worldview get challenged? What kind of characters and what kind of people and what kind of backstories and history would challenge this worldview? And how does my character who holds this worldview deal with it? How does coming into contact with these people that hold these experiences and this way of life, how do them coming into contact with Naruto change him? How does it challenge this point of view? Does it expose any weaknesses in this point of view or any inconsistencies in this point of view? And if it does, how do you change that while still holding this point of view? How do you maintain this way of life, this way of thinking, in the face of all these different difficulties where other people have folded or succumbed to the pressures of going down a different path and choosing different outcomes than what Naruto would choose? You know, like it's Naruto is a worldview. He is a point of view, like personified through a character, and his entire journey is just about meeting people that have different experiences and are gonna challenge that because they kind of have to. Like they have to be challenging it, because it's like everybody's not gonna hold it. Everybody's not gonna think that way. Everybody's not gonna be that optimistic. And the great thing about Naruto is he has no reason to be that optimistic and to be the way that he is, other than the fact that that's just who he is. That's just really what he believes in. That's what he thinks is the right way to go about it. That's what he thinks is the right thing to do. Period. That's his choice. He's that way because he chooses to be, and he teaches everybody else that too. But it gets hard to choose to be that in the face of such adversity. That was Pain's problem. It was hard to be that. It was hard to stick with that in the face of adversity, in the face of real war, in the face of real loss. The whole story is right here. It's right there at the beginning, and all it does is evolve from there. It doesn't change. So that's my rant. That's my ramble. I will be making that into a video. I think like the ideas that I have in my head are like, I want to break it down into parts. Like, I don't want to just talk about the story. Like, I want to talk about the story as it is, like what actually happens in chapter 1. I want to talk about the evolution of the story, like as I presented it here, and talk about some like future events and how they evolve, and like Kishimoto's storytelling, because I think the way I think unless you understand the way the story is progressing and the way it's being told, you cannot understand the way it evolves. And I think I need to find a way to get that point across in the script. And I'm going to think about different ways to write it down and do it. But I definitely want to get my thoughts out. Just so I can listen back to them. Because when I listen back to my own thoughts, I can think about things a little differently than just having them in my head. It's important for me to get them out. So yeah. And I decided to just use this as content. So, yeah, 22 minutes. There we go. Good enough. Appreciate y'all for watching. I'm out.